is some intrigue regarding the Twins ownership situation, the sales situation as we head closer to spring training now. And we have the perfect person to talk to about that topic here at Chin Music. This is our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. The regular lineup is Roy Smalley, former Twins All-Star, current Twins broadcaster, also works in the financial sector. LaVelle E. Neal III, Twins baseball columnist and general columnist at the Star Tribune. I'm Jim Souhan, also from the Star Tribune. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio today. We're presented to you by OnX Hunt. Thanks to all of our sponsors and listeners. If you like the show, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen, and we do appreciate it. All right. So as I said, Roy, you work in the financial sector. You've done very well for yourself. You were observing a twin sale that has generally been under the radar as far as information coming out. The Athletic just reported that there's the possibility of the sale getting done and having new owners in by opening day. Let me start you with this question. As someone who knows baseball, knows the Twins, and knows the financial sector, do you look at the Twins as a attractive team to own?
I think the potential would be there. You know, as in anything else, it really depends on what you pay for what you pay for the franchise for what you're getting at the time you pay it. And it feels to me like it's, for an owner to come in and want to be a sports franchise owner, you're really looking at, as an investment, you're looking at it a little differently than a normal investment. Your investment in terms of getting a return is going to happen sometime in the future when you decide to sell. And in the meantime, in most cases, there's a lot of funding of your investment along the way, year in, year out, that has to be done because there's not, I don't think there's enough revenue coming from all sources in a market like Twin Cities to have anywhere nearly as big a payroll as some of the bigger guys. And so your price should be less. What you'll get for it ultimately will be less than what one of the big market clubs would go for. But still, if you're willing to wait until you're ready to sell, I mean, you should make an awful lot of money, as the Pohlads will. It will obviously happen for them, just based on the initial Carl investment of $35 million and what they're going to get for it now. Now, time value of money is different. Inflation has eroded a lot. What they spent on the ballpark and to keep the budget reasonable over the years in inflation-adjusted dollars. I mean, it's not the return is not a billion or a billion and a half, whatever it is, minus 35 million. I mean, it's a lot different than that, but still, it's going to be an awful lot of money. And I think any owner coming in would look at this franchise and say, okay, there's a ballpark that's beautiful. There's a fan base that has shown that in the right circumstances, in a winning baseball team, a playoff baseball team, you get huge fan following, and there's carryover after that. So I think the attractiveness, to answer your original question.
LaVelle's joining us now. LaVelle, assuming you can hear us, I just asked Roy if this is an attractive franchise to buy given all the current circumstances. What do you think about that?
I think so. I think the only drawback with this franchise is the short-term television contract situation, with them having their games produced by MLB and not having the television revenue that other teams have. But in terms of having a modern ballpark that there's a commitment between the Twins and Hennepin County to upkeep and update frequently is a plus. They have a team that's been overall competitive in the division. been to the playoffs multiple times under the current regime. They have a farm system that's ranked at least at the top half. Some people would argue that it's a top 10 farm system, maybe a little bit higher than that. And they've got some star power in the roster. The one drawback would be it's in a solid market. It's not like a really, really small market. It's more of a mid-market team. So, and they have a long-term lease. They have a long-term lease signed. So, if you're looking to buy a team, they've got a lot of pluses on their side. And I think it outweighs the one minus, which is the television contract situation, which Major League Baseball may not be on a path to solving until roughly the 2028 season. So if they're willing to buy in now and kind of ride through that whole process, then I think this is a very attractive franchise.
And you hit on something there, LaVelle. The fan base is angry and depressed because of the way last year went and the way the team fell apart. But this team does have a strong farm system. Now, people might be tired of waiting on young players, but we know about Walker Jenkins. We know about Emma Rodriguez. Where's the depth? Do they have pitching depth in this farm system? Do they have other hitters in this farm system you find intriguing?
Yes, they actually have both, I think. There's a guy who is close to debuting named Luke Ketchel, who's an infielder, outfielder, who's highly thought of. I believe he played in the Futures game last year. And he is, for the most part, considered like their third or their fourth best prospect. The long-awaited pitching pipeline is starting to show some production. You saw it last year with the promotion of David Festa and the rapid rise of Zebby Matthews to join the major league squad. There's also a couple more guys who are close to being ready. Andrew Morris is projected to be a solid mid-rotation starter. He finished the year at St. Paul, and apparently before the trade deadline, the Twins were getting a lot of calls about his availability. So it's not just the Twins thinking highly of him. There's other teams being intrigued by Morris as well. You also have, you may see Zebby Matthews, not Zebby, there's Marco Rea, who reached Double-A last year, who's got a chance to start at Triple-A this year, as another pitcher who they think highly of. Although his pitch count his pitch counts have been watched very carefully coming up through the minors, but they let him loose a little bit late last year, and he saw some positive results. But he's got a mid-90s fastball, 2 good breaking balls. They got a 6'6" infielder named Winkauer, who is at Double-A. They got a bunch of guys who I think you're going to see over the next year or two. It's the reason why people think this farm system is pretty good. My sleeper for this year is a left-hander by the name of Connor Pralip. He's a left-hander out of Alabama who's had not one but 2 Tommy John surgeries, I think, in the last 2-3 years. So because of that, he's been unable to build his innings up to be a starter. I think the Twins are considering making him a reliever, and if that's the case, that kid could be in the majors this year. He throws mid-90s. He has an absolute slider from hell. I watched him throw before the 2023 season with a bunch of scouts because none of them had seen him. So they wanted to get a load of him, and they were all amazed by how his slider was breaking on 2 planes and how nasty it was. So I think this kid, because he's kind of like Yohan Durant, can never build up his innings to actually take that step to being a starter, but has been a heck of a reliever. I think from the left-handed side, I think Twins fans are going to see Connor Pralip sometime this year.
Roy, I might have cut you off when you were talking about the ownership situation. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think that basically it's a question of and LaVelle makes makes it an interesting point, or raises a question in my mind whether it's not a small market team, it's a mid market team, and I just wonder what the metrics are for that. For me, it's not about attendance nearly as much as it's about local TV and radio. And when you look at what the what the share is of the marketplace on TV and radio. I mean, just the number of listeners or viewers, it doesn't warrant real big money being paid to the Twins, and that could change. They believe that there is, a 2-time potential, or possibly even 3-time potential if they do things correctly, but that's yet to be seen. And I think that brings them more to small market than mid market, in my opinion. I don't know the numbers in terms of how should we consider it, small or medium, but it just feels to me like from the major source of revenue from so many clubs, being local TV and radio, this is not I don't even know. I'm not convinced it's a mid market team.
I think that's the right way to put it, Roy. From all the conversations I've had over the decades about this franchise, it's a mid-sized market. It's a market with large financial capabilities of all the Fortune 500 companies, but that does not translate into television and radio revenues. And television and radio revenues are kind of what the differentiator between different markets in baseball.
I'm reminded of the story, when Alex Rodriguez went from Seattle to Texas for $25 million a year of a 10-year deal. And, coincidentally enough, they sold the local TV and radio rights for, $25 million bucks a year. I mean, or thereabouts. I mean, it was almost like, yeah, you can broadcast it on radio and TV, and you're just going to pay A-Rod, So, I mean, it's that much of a direct correlation to budget.
All right, we're going to talk about, after I take care of the business, I'm going to ask each of you, how does this team, we're going to put the ownership stuff aside, how does this team win this year? What would have to happen for this team to win this year? First, we want to welcome a brand new sponsor to Talk North, talknorth.com. Here's Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resort.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
Also want to let you know about Onyx Hunt. They've been sponsoring a number of programs around the network. Great to have them working with us. Ice fishing is here. It's time to hit the frozen water with Onyx Fish. The Fish app is the most comprehensive fishing tool for increasing your confidence on ice. Use Onyx Fish to find new places to fish and sort lakes by species, abundance, trophy, and keeper potentials. Onyx Fish also shows you hot spots, lake-by-lake regulations, and private and public land ownership information. For a limited time, download Onyx Fish for free in Minnesota and Wisconsin, or go to onyxmaps.com/fish to get more information on the app that is changing the game on ice. Also want to thank longtime sponsor, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota, or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
Hi, Scott here for Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Wishing you a Happy New Year. Is this the year for worry-free water? Your year for softer skin, spotless dishes, cleaner laundry, and drinking water so good you'll want to hug your faucet. Connecticut uses zero electricity and delivers water you will love. Plus, enjoy 25% off a Connecticut whole home water treatment system. Schedule your free water analysis today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
And finally, here's John Krasinski for True Vision Institute.
Yeah, True Vision in Bloomington. I was talking to someone at the Timberwolves game against the Hornets, and they were asking me about it. And they had also had LASIK surgery as well. And it was, the term that we both have used, and I've used it on the show, is life changing. It really is. And you're going to roll your eyes at it. Maybe if you're wearing contacts and eyeglasses, you're going to say, yeah, right. I did the same thing. I was skeptical of it. I was like, it can't be that good. But I went to True Vision. I visited with the nicest, most friendly staff there that put me through the paces, got me to the right answer and the right option for my vision correction, and then got me to Dr. Chu, who did an unbelievable job with the surgery itself. It does make your life so much easier, not having to go in every year, every 2 years for new glasses and new contacts, spending hundreds of dollars, getting the eye exam, trying to find what's the fashionable frames nowadays. All of those things. It's a headache. And I do not have that anymore because I got LASIK at True Vision. It took me not even half of a day to recover from the surgery. And by the time I woke up the next morning, I was seeing clearly and crisply, and everything was great. So go into True Vision or go to truevision.com to set up your consultation and tell them the John Krasinski Show sent you.
All right, let's start with Roy. Roy, how does this team, as currently constituted, if they don't have any major free agent signings, if they don't make a game-changing trade, how does this team win this year?
I think we saw how last year when everybody was healthy and everybody played up to their potential, they're a really good team. And with a lineup and a pitching staff that, other than, and this could, I suppose, could be argued, but I think Pablo Lopez is near ace, number one ace status, anywhere. Joe Ryan looks like he's had the ability to take the next step. Bailey Ober looks like he has the ability to take, the next step. I really like David Festa. And if he takes the next step. So, there's that potential. The same as in the bullpen, the same as in the lineup. And the question is, do people take the next step in, does Royce Lewis not, figure out how not to go and, completely go in the tank? And everybody's going to have slumps and those kinds of things. Everybody's going to play badly at one point or another. But this group can play pennant contending and playoff baseball if everybody, A, stays healthy, B, takes the next step in the terms of some of the younger guys, and then, C, everybody play up to their capabilities that we've seen. I think they've got a real shot, but there's not a fallback guy, two fallback guys definitively in the starting staff yet. For me, there's not definitively two fallback guys in the lineup where you say, these other guys aren't swinging, but these guys can and are carrying us. It's a roster on the mound and in the field and at the plate where the whole roster just has to play up to the capability for the preponderance of the season. And given the ups and downs, and how there'll be times when everybody's great, there'll be times when everybody's not so good, but it's all the in-between times, everybody, playing closer to their upside range potential than downside range potential. If that happens, they're going to be a good club. But I think we've seen for a while that the lack of a Nelson Cruz, or the lack of just an absolute shut down, starter kind of person throughout the course of a year, puts them at a little bit of a disadvantage. I think I'm excited about the club. I'm optimistic that everybody will take that next step, and it's just a question of, A, health, and B, get it done.
What do you think, LaVelle?
I think one big key is I like where the pitching staff is headed now with Festa and Zebby Matthews getting into the fray, and Simeon Woods Richardson stepping up his game last year. I think Joe Ryan's really a key here. If he can come back from his arm shoulder issue from a year ago, and then you have a front three of Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, and Joe Ryan, and I'm ready to go to battle with those three in any situation. And then you fill out the rest of your rotation with Zebby or Festa or Simeon, and now you got a little bit of now you're working on some depth, and you got a couple of kids, as I mentioned, Andrew Morris. And it should be like another one or two guys in the system here. Now you're looking at, 8 starters you wouldn't mind seeing on a mound, which was way better than it was a year ago. I think the bullpen has a chance to be really good. Of course, our favorite reliever needs to stay healthy, although he hasn't. Apparently, Griffin Jacks has given up his dream of returning as a starter, so he's going to focus on being a reliever. I thought that was interesting when I heard that. So, but he's a really good reliever in the role he provides. Cole Sands made a big jump last year, I thought. So I think in terms of the entire pitching staff, just a combination of starters to relievers, they're in a pretty good spot. They can use a left-handed reliever, and that's why I'm pushing Connor Prela. But I think this team could be good next year because the pitching staff looks like it could be really effective. And as far as offense, Carlos Correa played 86 games last year. Byron Buxton played 102. They both had WAR of at least 3.6. All right. So if they get to 130 games, 135 games, that WAR is pushing 4.5, maybe 5. And when you have two guys producing that type of WAR, you're going to have a pretty good lineup. And you throw in whatever Royce Lewis can provide, whatever Ryan Jeffers can provide. I like how that side of how the offense is looking. I haven't even mentioned Matt Wallner and the strides he made. So, hell yeah, this team can compete next year. Health is a big issue, definitely. But I think they're in a spot to see an uptick in the pitching staff from head to toe and a better offense.
All right, let's ask this question, last baseball question of this show. Things are going to start ramping up now. We have Twins Fest coming up, some press conferences, maybe some news on the ownership front. For today, I would like each of you to pick one player who is the most important for this team contending, whether it's health or performance or bouncing back, whatever. And let's start with LaVelle on this. Pick one. Who is the most important player on this team?
Wow. I'm going to go, like I said, I'm gonna stay on the pitching side. I'm gonna say Joe Ryan, because his health and his pitching ability, because he has shown stretches of being an above average starting pitcher in baseball, and if he can join forces with Ober and Pablo, you got a front three. And I'm leaning that side because I've seen teams thrive when they've had strong pitching staffs and they've had to scratch a sniff for runs. Instead of the other way when you're trying to out-hit your poor pitching staff. So I think if Ryan could come back 100%, man, I think that means a lot for the rotation, which makes it easier on the bullpen. And all of a sudden you got a pitching staff. And here's the other thing, guys, Fangraphs projections for 2025 have the Twins starting rotation ranked 9th in terms of projected WAR in all of baseball. So they're bringing something to the table in 2025. And Ryan being healthy, I think will be a big part of that.
How about you, Roy?
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Ryan as well. So I'll shift. I because I think there are equal. There's an equal balance between who's the one person. So if it's not Joe, then I've got to go with Buck and his being able to play the games that he played, as LaVelle said, made a big difference. Him playing 130 games, full health, would make a gigantic difference. So I mean, tempted to say Royce Lewis, but I'm not gonna put that on that kid quite yet. They really need him to play to swing the bat the way he's shown he can swing the bat on a consistent basis. But I mean, I think if you were to tell LaVelle and me, Joe Ryan's going to win 18 games and Buck's going to play 130, I think we'd be feeling pretty good about it.
All right, let's go ahead, LaVelle.
No, so I agree with Roy. If those two things happen, Cleveland and Kansas City need to watch out.
It's going to be interesting. I actually am more bullish on this team than most people for all the reasons you guys have mentioned. And if they are able to get a new ownership deal and the owners come in and say, yeah, let's go ahead and let's free up the purse strings, that could help as well. But I don't think that's the primary issue. I think they have good players. I think health and the right players having good years is probably more important than anything else. Let's get to our.
Let me before we move on,
yes.
If you don't mind, let me amplify something that LaVelle said about having a good pitching staff and scratching and sniffing for runs. The one thing that we have to keep in mind is that the Twins have not been a scratch and sniff for runs club here for a little while. They've been a home run hitting club and a big strikeout club, and I don't see that drastically changing. There's new hitting coaches. Maybe they will get through the players about 2-strike approach or other kinds of scratching out at bats that will improve that lineup. They're certainly young enough to be able to make adjustments at this point in time in their career. Most of them. So that remains to be seen. But it's not automatic that they'll scratch out runs. I think the pitching staff's going to be real good, and they're going to have to find a balance between the home runs and the strikeouts. I do believe.
Good stuff. All right, let's get to our Booze and Blues segment. If you guys have contributions, great. If not, I will start. So since I told you about the Skunk Baxter interview, and Roy seemed to enjoy that, and we talk about great guitarists all the time, I'm going to, if you haven't heard of him, I'm going to introduce to you maybe the world's best guitarist, certainly the world's least known great guitarist. He went to Wisconsin Stevens Point. He studied music over there. He's a Midwest guy. Never really, went the hit song or popular band route to earn his popularity. He ended up being just such a virtuoso that all these companies, Fender, Wildwood Guitars, Yamaha, a bunch of different companies hired him to be their product demonstrator. And he kind of made a name for that because he's not only an incredible player, he's also a very funny guy. He's played everywhere around the world, but never with a hit band. It's always been just more guitar demonstrations, solos, or he puts together a small group and plays. Like Skunk Baxter, he's done an interview recently with Rick Beato, Beato. But that's not the only place you can access his stuff. If you go to YouTube and check out Greg Koch, Greg Koch, Koch. He is one of the most amazing guitarists I've ever seen. You can find him playing with his band. You can find him on product demonstrations. You can find him on that latest interview and other interviews. He does things with the guitar. He can play any genre. He can play anything well. He is a stunning guitarist. So if you just love guitar playing like I do, find Greg Koch and enjoy. LaVelle, you have anything for us today?
Well, where would he rank? Okay, so I'm curious about this one because when I start thinking about top 5 living guitarists, his name does not come up.
He's not popular. He's like Eric Clapton. Right. He was incredibly popular in the '60s with Cream and the Yardbirds. He's incredibly popular as a solo artist. He's been he kind of invented the modern single note rock blues structure of playing, but nobody knows Greg Koch. Greg Koch Eric Clapton is great. Greg Koch can do things on a guitar Eric Clapton wouldn't even try.
Really? That's intriguing. I want to hear him now because when I think top living guitarist, I think Beck, I think Clapton, I think Buddy
Jeff
Guy.
Beck's dead, by the way, so we got to take him off that list.
When did he die?
Oh, a couple of years ago.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
I think Carlos Santana.
Santana's great.
Those are the guys that come to mind right away.
But the point I'm making here is there are great guitarists that we know of because they were popular. there's another world of guitarists who are like Olympic gymnasts. They do unimaginable things, but they never had a hit. They never played in a hit band. Greg Koch is the ultimate example of somebody who can play as well or better than anybody else alive. And I guarantee 95% of people have never heard of him.
I haven't, so now I'm intrigued.
Roy, you got anything for us today?
Well, if we got time, I was going to do kind of a deep dive on one of my favorite guys, but I'll shorten it up. I want to talk about John Mayall.
Oh, yeah.
And you talk about Clapton being Yardbirds and Cream. In between Yardbirds and Cream, he played Blues Breakers with Mayall. Mayall has had guitar players play with him for 50 years. Is that right? Yeah, 50 years. And just about everybody has played with it. So, on that Blues Breakers, those Blues Breaker guys, obviously it was Clapton. It was also John Mark and Johnny Almond, who later formed the Mark Almond Band, did some, wonderful stuff there. And Mayall's had Coco Montoya and Sonny Boy Williamson, a great song called Sensitive Kind, with those two guys on it. Just one of my wife's and my favorite songs ever. More recently now, I marvel at that Mayall had gone as long as he has. All the people that played with them and the music that they've created in various bluesy sounds and genres. I just heard a song from back in the, I think, early 2000s. So his main guitar player in the Blues Breakers from, some kind of early to mid 90s through the early 2000s was a guy named Buddy Whittington. Jim, you probably know him, but
Yep.
I had not heard, Buddy Whittington. And so I'm listening to some Mayall stuff and got prompted to go listen to this song called The Mist of Time. And I'm going to tell you, please go listen to this song. It's a really moody, kind of haunting, bluesy song that Mayall wrote. Plays some wonderful piano, just again, moody, haunting piano. Some of his best stuff, I think. And Buddy Whittington just lights it up. It is so good. It's about an 8-minute song. And it's just 8 minutes of wonderfulness. And so hat off to John Mayall for the career, the people that he's launched, the people that he's played with and made great music. And now, oh, by the way, go listen to this song. I couldn't recommend this song any more highly. The Mists of Time.
Fantastic. I love recommendations like that. I will go check it out. I have to say, I think I've heard of that song. I'm not sure I've actually heard the song, so I will go check that out.
Well, you call me, you listen to it, and then you call me back and tell me what you think.
I will do that. All right. Good stuff, guys. I appreciate it. Twins are going to start bringing some people into town, doing, Twins Caravan stuff, having press conferences, preparing for Twins Fest. It's going to be very interesting to see how things are couched and what the developments are with the ownership situation. Hang with us here. We'll provide analysis on that as we go forward. Thanks for listening to TalkNorth.com. Welcome again to our new sponsor, Clamshell Beach Resort, and we'll talk to you next week.